Hey everyone, Robert Newspub here with your weekly rate update. And yes, we did see a Fed rate cut this week. Jerome Powell did a quarter cut, but this Fed meeting was a little bit different than the previous meetings before, and I'll explain why. The previous meetings, every time we heard the Fed minutes, remember, just the Fed minutes is what happens during that 2-day Fed meeting. Jerome Powell basically said, we're doing the rate cut. We're going to see what the next meeting is going to hold, and we're not certain if we're going to do a rate cut or not. The quarter of a cut that happened this week, it was anticipated by all the investors, but the reason why we saw a slight price difference and why we saw rates coming down slightly this time is because Jerome Powell didn't say our next meetings are going to be XYZ. He didn't say that we're going to do X amount of cuts in 2026. They didn't say how many cuts. They didn't say if they're going to do cuts. All that Jerome Powell said is whatever reports come out in 2026, that's what's going to determine what will happen going forward. And that's the first time that Jerome Powell had that kind of a statement. So basically, it's whatever happens on the market will drive the interest rate. So it's good and bad at the same time. Remember, Jerome Powell's term comes up in May. Whether he stays, whether he goes, it will be determined based on, again, how economy and what happens by the time he's around. Well, President Donald Trump said they're going to put somebody in office that will help bring the interest rates down, and they're going to continue driving the interest rates down because it helps the overall economy. But what it does beg to differ is what happens when the Fed chairman is controlled or at least dictated by the overall government to say, hey, this is what needs to be done, and you got to cut rates, and you got to cut rates. And it's no longer an independent Fed. It's no longer an independent Federal Reserve that makes the decisions as they always did. It's as if now they're being controlled, and that has a lot of investors worried because if Jerome Powell finishes his term and somebody is put in there, and every time the administration says, hey, we need to cut rates, the Fed does so, then there's no point of really having a Fed because it's all controlled by the administration. So it is a question on investors' mind. It is it is a concern as to what will be and how it will be going forward. Remember, Fed meets 8 times a year. The next meeting is going to be in January 2026. Are we going to see another cut? Most likely, yes. Fed prime rate right now is at 6.75. It's good. Home equity lines got dropped. Credit card payments got dropped. Student loans, auto loans, not, again, always a direct correlation to mortgages. But the biggest problem that we see now is we are so far in debt. We're over 1.3 trillion in debt. And that's, again, before, that was in the last quarter, before they counted the numbers for Black Friday, Cyber Monday spending. And we have a tremendous amount of debt, but we do have a lot of equity that's out there, which is why home equity loans are becoming a very popular product. We're getting a lot of inquiries where, hey, my mortgage is under 3%. I don't want to touch it, but I need money to pay off my debt. I need money for renovation. So the interest rates do help overall spending, and it does help the overall borrowing power. So if it's somebody that you know that needs to borrow money and needs to pay off debt, the high revolving debt, this is something that definitely helps them. So again, overall, our rates are mortgage rates are in the high fives, somewhere in the mid fives, depending on the product. People are borrowing. If you need a pre-approval for your client for during the weekend, reach out to us. Otherwise, until next time, thanks.